Welcome to Professional Quotient. I'm your host, Jason Winningham, and today we have a very special guest, Tim Winningham. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Would you like to take a second to introduce yourself to us?
Sure. Tim Winningham. I work at Edward Jones. I've been here for the last 13 years. Currently, I serve in the capacity of a department leader, where I'm responsible for a department of about 100 associates and 7 direct reports at this time. I've spent time as a service rep on the phones for Edward Jones. I've spent time in various leadership capacities. Also spent time in different divisions around the firm as well, including service, operations, and also in the learning and training space as well.
So what would you say your typical day-to-day looks like at Edward Jones right now?
Oh, great question. So being a department leader is my responsibility to run the day-to-day business in our contact area. And what I'll do is I'll take a look and see what I have on my week ahead and just make sure that I'm prepping for any important meetings I've got coming up. But day to day, could be managing escalations that come up through our interactions with the service associates and the financial advisors and branches that they interact with each day. Could be one-on-one meetings with my direct reports that I'm responsible for, my team leaders. Those could be anything from coaching conversations, development conversations, trying to strategize how to, get different results on the team or within the department. Day to day also looks like reviewing different reports to try and understand where opportunities lie for us as far as like outliers to try and improve efficiencies. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to ensure that we're providing consistent, timely, and accurate service for the financial advisors that we support.
Okay. And let's step back. And if somebody isn't aware of what financial advisors or what Edward Jones does, could you talk a little bit about that field or industry as a whole first?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're in the financial services industry, and Edward Jones is unique that we've got over 18,000 financial advisors across North America. We also service Canada as well, but our financial advisors operate in all the local communities across the country. And what they do best is they build trusting relationships with our clients. And we may have clients that are individual clients, business clients, anything in between, but they meet with them and try and understand what's important to them. And then they set goals and they help them accomplish those goals over time so they can have confidence in whatever the plan is, whether it's saving for college for kids or vacations or saving for retirement.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a one that's more standard than others, like that people are people more saving for college or more saving for retirement, or is it just kind of a mixed bag?
It really just depends on the client and their need. Our financial advisors don't approach it with any assumptions. It's more of just discovery, trying to understand what it is that's important. Our firm is actually undergoing a huge transformation where we're now a financial planning firm. And so because of that, we're able to offer additional services to clients and just help them have more confidence in their comprehensive plan, just so that they can ensure that they're going to hit their goals.
Sure. That sounds neat. So tell me, how did you get involved here? Like what brought you into Edward Jones or this industry as a whole?
Yeah. So I was actually working for Northwestern Mutual at the time, and I was prospecting and trying to bring on a client, and that client worked for Edward Jones. And over the course of our time meeting, they thought that I would make a better leader at Edward Jones than I would a financial advisor for Northwestern Mutual. I wasn't so sure about that, but what I could tell was there was something different about that person. They seemed like they really cared. They seemed like Edward Jones, the culture at Edward Jones was really unique and special. And so that piqued my interest. And so I started to investigate a little bit more. And then one thing led to another, and I began a career here at Edward Jones. But when I started here, I started on the floor from the ground up. So it started on the phones supporting our Canadian branches. Did that for a few years. I developed a interest in wanting to help others and really cared about others in their development. So I chose to get into leadership. And I spent time leading a team of 10 on the U.S. side of the business in my first position. And then after that led into opportunities to get into the training space. And I stood up a on-the-job trainer function in the training space. That was a ton of fun. But that role really helped us integrate new hires and existing associates into production once they had their learning events. And so I was able to really get into some innovative and creative opportunities there, which was a ton of fun. And then through my ongoing development, that kind of led me to the role I'm in now as a department leader.
Awesome. And so you really did kind of start, and you've seen a few different things within there by starting off on the floor, as you said, and into going to where you're at now. Would you say that having that kind of knowledge of or insight of working the floor first has really helped you in your current role?
I think so. I think it's helped in a couple of ways. I think it's helped me as far as like the skill set that I've developed. I feel like I can relate more with my team leaders. I can relate more with the associates. But it was no accident that I got to where I'm at today. It was all on purpose, all very intentional development, intentional networking, trying to learn from others. But absolutely, I would agree.
Let's dive deeper into that. How did you intentionally network with others?
When I started 13 years ago, everybody was in the office together, so it was very natural just to like look across the cubicle walls and say, okay, I want to try and get to know that person or that team leader or department leader or director or general partner. So really, I just started like in my own backyard of where I was sitting, and started to branch out and try to figure out like what was the work that they did and how did they get to where they were and what did they learn. And so I tried to just take everything that I learned from those interactions and put it into practice. And what I've learned over the years is a lot of people love to learn, but not as many people love to try and put that into action because it takes some courage to do that, because what if you fail, right? But that's what I did. And so like when I would go down to the cafeteria or just walking into work in and out, like I just made it my goal to say hi to people and to try and create relationships and just extend my network that way. As I started to be more involved in the firm, I made it my goal to try and reach out to folks when I was in a meeting with new folks that I hadn't met before. I tried to make it my goal to connect with one or two from each meeting, and that helped me because I was able to network across the firm, and I was able to learn a lot about the firm as well from those conversations.
Sure. Networking isn't something that necessarily comes naturally to everyone. So I'd like to just ask a couple more questions about that. I loved your approach, which is I have a goal, and the goal is to say hi, build a relationship. When you are building relationships with those that you want to grow in that same direction, are you openly saying, this is why I'm talking to you, because I want to learn about your role? You kind of keeping that close to the vest and just asking them questions about their role?
Yeah. So again, I learned over the years, I wasn't always perfect, but what I learned was the more intentional that I was in the conversations, the better it was for both myself and the other person. And what I really learned was over time, the more that I could try and show interest in them and try and figure out how might they help with things that I'm working on. So then it would turn into, hey, I'm interested about you, but I think you can add value to what I'm doing. It piqued their interest, and now they felt like, oh, I can help other areas. Everybody loves to help. I don't know anybody that doesn't. So when you can have a relationship that way, and then also try and ask them, hey, what are things that I can add value to, or what can I help with? What's important to you that you're working on? I found that when you had relationships that evolved in that way, then they became more lasting relationships. And then whenever you would see each other in the hall or in meetings or the next time you get together, then you had something that you could talk about, and you could say, hey, you know what? Last time when we got together, you suggested this. I actually tried that, and here's what I saw, or here's what I learned from it. And so it allowed the relationship to grow a little bit deeper, a little bit quicker.
Absolutely. It sounds like you were setting up informal mentorship, uh, like relationships, not formal, saying, I want to arrange a weekly meeting with you, but doing it informally on the fly, but doing all the essential parts of that, which is circling back with the mentor to say, here's how your recommendation worked, and here's where I'm working. So I like to hear that. And I appreciate you sharing a little more on that, because this is something that, like I shared, not everybody feels naturally inclined to network, but it's something that always helps, because growing that community, you never know what doors of opportunity open up the more people that you know and get to know. So appreciate that. You also shared that when somebody first approached you and said, hey, you should come over here to Edward Jones, that there was a slight trepidation in your mind. I don't think you used the word trepidation, but you said something about a hesitation, like, is that going to be a good fit? Um, are you glad that you challenged yourself and made the move?
I am. No regrets. So I think the hesitation was when I was at Northwestern Mutual. We were all, championing, "Hey, we're the best. We can plan the best for our clients." And so like going to Edward Jones in the moment felt like I'm going to number two, not number one. But as soon as I came to Edward Jones, it just felt different. It felt like you could just feel the culture. You could feel people that cared. I'd never been to a place where people would literally hold the door for you as you came up the sidewalk into the building, where people looked at you and said hi, and they meant it. It was just as the firm grew and got bigger, it still felt very small. But that was the biggest thing for me.
I love your thoughts on what you think influences culture in that positive direction like that. Is that one person? Is that just a lot of people, like the different people they're selecting to bring into the company?
Yeah, so culture has been a hot topic for us as of late. And my perspective on that has changed over the years. And I don't think culture, I strongly believe this, I don't think culture can be delegated. I think as a associate of the firm or wherever you're at, as a leader, as an owner, it's on you. It's on all of us together. And so when I think about that, it's a collective effort, but sometimes it takes that person with that spark to get things going. So I've over the years, I've really taken pride in just trying to be that person to take action in those moments where I can, because what I've learned also is we're all guilty of being timid one time or another, and maybe we passed on an opportunity, but the more I can avoid those moments and be proactive, it's going to make a difference. And if you make a difference in just one person and one interaction, that's going to have a ripple effect and spread.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I've sat in on meetings where people talk about how culture has to be top down. And I'm like, you could say that, but you need agents of change all across your platform, from bottom to top, top to bottom, left to right, and then again, right to left. So I'm always it takes all of us. It takes a village, so to speak. So I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you saying that. And I loved your call out on all of us being timid at some points. This is so true. And I've heard it a number of years now where people will say, I sat in the lunchroom and nobody talks to me. I'm sitting at this table and nobody sits down with me. And I remember kind of thinking, like, when one person shared with me, because I did sit down at a table with her and said hello because she was new. And I was like, oh, hey. And she kind of said, I sit here every single day hoping to meet people. And most people just walk right past me. And I said, to be honest, in my mind, when I see somebody sitting at a table like that, I think you're waiting for your teammates to come, or I just assume you don't want people to come, like, especially if you're looking down at your phone or something. I just think quiet time. So it kind of challenged me to kind of not have those assumptions. And when you see somebody sitting there, just say hi anyway. Like, worst case scenario, they say hi back and that's the end of your exchange. But best case scenario, you're actually helping somebody. Mm-hmm. So appreciate that. When it comes to professional quotient, this is the measurement of how well we're utilizing all the elements of our professional equity, from our skills, our knowledge, our experience, our education, and our community. With
Mm-hmm.
those things in mind, what would you say has the most value to you, at least right now in your life?
I think skill set. So skills for me right now is important. I'll go back to the network in just a little bit, but skills, network, and I think community. I think there's things there that create a ton of value for an individual and for an organization. Skills. I think skills are important because I feel like there's a lot of pressure and stress on, like, what's your skill set and are you going to develop? But I think what I've learned over time is really trying to recognize, like, can I be clear on what the vision is for our purpose? What's our vision? From there, can I identify the opportunities, and then how is it that I accomplish those? And then I start to get comfortable with what is my skill set. And then by doing that, I've gained more confidence in different opportunities and situations. And so for me, I feel like innovation, being creative, collaborating with others, like those are all areas where I tend to excel in. The community piece, I think that's important because I think you can become like unbalanced if you don't focus on all the different areas. But in the community, I think it's important because if you put all your eggs in one basket, only network within your firm, only like if you're just head down working at the firm, what happens if all of a sudden one day there's no job for you, right? Now you're really scrambling. So it's just as important to be out in the community, active, get into something that you enjoy, something where you can make an impact, because now you're going to expand that network naturally. For me, I help coach my son's ice hockey team. I've done that for the last 4 years. It gets me into a very different network, very fun, close network of folks. The hockey community is awesome. Um, Also help out with coaching soccer. I've helped with some of his baseball as well, but mainly stick to the soccer and to hockey. And what I've noticed is it allows me to work on some of my skill sets at work, also in the community space as well. So I kind of get the best of both worlds, and you expand your network naturally. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how they all three fit uh, in my
I think
mind.
that's a really good insight into how we can build that community outside of just one location so that it maximizes our opportunities. So good call out. Uh, are there other ways or other types of communities that you like to engage in? Are there any professional communities that you get involved in outside of work?
So I'm always looking for opportunities. Time is usually of the essence. There's another community that I'm involved in as well. So I umpire college baseball, and so call that I guess a professional community. But there's a large network of us across the country, and that's uh, a hobby of mine that I've been passionate about for many years, about 20 years at this point. And so,
Yeah,
again, that's another one where I've networked outside of the firm, networked with other professionals. There's many umpires that are a profession in many different industries. So being able to create those friendships and leverage them for ideas. Sometimes it's ideas and conversations from that I bring to Edward Jones, and now I'm using that to solve for a opportunity.
absolutely. And I like that you bring that one up because that really showcases how a lot of us have these passions on the side that maybe you can't fit your passion for baseball into your day job, within financial planning, but you're still able to embrace your passion and do it. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about what that season in your life looks like throughout the year when you're doing that, if you don't mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's my busy season, and I've got to give a call out to my wife, Katie. I couldn't do it without her. She is the rock of the family during the baseball season. So that entails about the middle of February until usually the end of May, early June, where I'm on the road every weekend. But what I've found is I've had some of my most successful trimesters. We go by trimesters here at Edward Jones during that time, and I think what that does is it creates like an ultra heightened awareness for the work that's got to get done. And so like there's no downtime. And so you're just always on. And what I've learned is in umpiring in baseball, it's a relationship business. And so you've got to be good at handling people. You got to be good at building trust and relationships, and you've got to be able to perform just like at work. So like what I really enjoy about that is it gets me out of the work context so I can kind of have some balance there, but it allows me to work on skill sets that I can also practice when I'm umpiring and bring back to Edward Jones. And so for me, I've really benefited from that because it's allowed me to for example, be able to find ways to be calm through very stressful situations for one. Uh, but again, it's a very busy time, but I couldn't do it without the support of my wife because she's the one that keeps the family going during that busy time.
Sure. And I would imagine there's an additional skill set that you would learn if you don't have it naturally when you're doing that work as umping, is that you're going to have half the people in the stands mad at you at some point over a call, and being able to just make your call anyway and keep going. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I guess the only call out I'll say is if you're trying to please people, you're going to be in a bad spot a lot of the time. But no, the one thing that I've learned from the umpiring is it's really helped me in the business world is embracing change and embracing technology, because we've got more and more technology coming into the baseball world. You've got everything's on video, whether it's streamed or on TV. Now we've got technology where they've got the strike zone that you can see where pitches are, and so we get real time feedback. And so I could either choose to be resistant to it and say, you know what, I'm not gonna go that direction, or I could choose to embrace it. And so what I did early on is I learned, hey, this is going to be around. Like I've got to figure out how to be successful through this so I can thrive in the end. But then now bringing that back to the Edward Jones context, we've got all kinds of AI enhancements, all kinds of new technology platforms that we're introducing. And so again, I could say, you know what happened to the old that I was comfortable with, right? Or try and get clear on that vision. So now I know, hey, how do I need to help my team along? How do I need to prepare them so that they can rally our associates, our department through this change? Because at the end, we all want to be successful on the other side. We just have to figure out like, what is it from point A to point B and how is it going to look as we're going through?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That's helpful. Now, one of the things I like to bring up in each conversation here within PQ is about challenges in the workplace. Have you ever had to overcome any challenges that you feel comfortable sharing with us?
Yeah. You had talked a little bit about the networking earlier. We hit on that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share this. I think this could be valuable for folks. Maybe someone who's struggling with networking, or maybe just you don't have the confidence. So here's what I've learned. Here's how I've overcome the whole networking scene. So my whole theory is most people will say yes the first time. It's kind of like, if you get bold enough to put an invite out there, most people will say yes the first time. But then it comes down to like, oh, how am I going to even approach them? And so I've always learned, like, it's not about the one person you're asking. Think about like, who are the folks that you want to ask, knowing that not everybody's going to have the time, and everybody has conflicts on their side, because we can't always see life through their lens. But find a simple message that you can put into that invite, or maybe it's a quick phone call, just asking them if they would be open to meeting. But just put something in that invite that's just short and sweet. Hey, really saw you in this meeting. Really liked what you had to say. I want to learn more from you. Would you mind, 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it is? Try and help them feel like they're valued, and that's going to open the door for them being willing to meet. And then when you're meeting with them, be a listener. Like, make sure they're doing a lot of the talking. Be a listener. Look for ways to try and learn about them, what they're doing, what's important to them. But when that meeting's over, make sure that you ask, as the meeting's going on, determine whether it's going to be a good fit to continue to meet. At that point, ask for another meeting before you leave, because the hardest thing to do is to leave a meeting and say, oh, I forgot to ask if they want to meet again. And then it turns into this, well, did they get the email? Did they not get the email? But close the deal while you're in networking with them. And then that's how you can set the terms of, hey, does it make sense for us to get together every 6 months? What about monthly? Like, what makes sense? And then you get to that mutual agreement. So I hope that helps somebody, because I've met a ton of people, even here at Edward Jones, that their biggest fear is networking because it sounds so daunting,
Mm-hmm.
and they just don't know where to start.
Yeah. I personally like to rephrase networking and just call it community building. And it takes a little bit of the pressure off my brain, because networking has always seemed like a means to an end. Whereas community building, it's like, oh, I'm just getting to know people. And really they're no different. It's just, yeah, it's like, just get to know people as a person to person. And I like your approach of saying, I liked what you did. So you recognize something and honor something that they bring to the table, and then talk about how we can grow more. I like that. And good call out on kind of having that agreement set before you leave that meeting on if you're going to continue meeting. And to what I brought up earlier within mentor relationships, formal or informal, following up and saying,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you gave me this great advice. I followed through and this is what happened. Mentors like to hear that, so that they know they're not just, not wasting their time, but just like, oh, okay, glad I met with you. Because most of us are busy. We're running, and time is the most valuable commodity we have to offer another person. So we want to make sure it's well spent.
Amen. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Is there advice you would give to somebody that would like to get into your field, to do what you do, basically?
Yeah, nothing is going to prepare you for the role that you want better than the experience. And so how do you get that? So, it depends where you're at. So if you haven't been in leadership and you want to get into leadership, my advice is, try and get on with a financial services company, and try and get on from the ground level and learn everything that you can, like become an expert, in your surroundings, in the topics, whatever it is that you support. And then own your development and become very clear with your leader on what that looks like. Let them know, hey, here are my intentions. Here's the goal that I've got, for my career. Here's what I think I need to have happen to accomplish it. How can we work together and get that agreement? If you're already in a leadership position, you're just trying to work your way up. It's kind of similar. You want to make sure that you have, some advocates, that are, probably a few layers higher than you. Because when I think about it, if I'm talking to, team leaders and they want to become a department leader, my advice is don't talk to department leaders because we don't hire each other. Talk to my direct leader or talk to general partners or the business owners, wherever the organization looks like, because those are the folks that are going to help, in those, the decision-making meetings and be advocates for you. So think about it from that lens. It feels very intimidating because for some folks, they might say, oh, I don't want to talk to, someone 2 levels up, because when you think about it, we're no different. And people want to help others. And so just take that approach of, hey, I know that, that most people want to help. So if I take that mindset, I'm sure you can come to some successful plan and agreement.
Mm-hmm. And are there activities that you do to continually raise yourself up, to professionally develop yourself?
There are, I always look for, you call it micro learning. I always look for like articles. I look for whether it's podcasts. Um, for the longest time, I would go out and just find, on social media, just find like personal development things. And I would just start there, or leadership development, or I look for like strategic thinking case studies to try and figure out how I could, take back what I learned and apply it here in my work. I also, I'll find books and I'll go buy them on eBay. That's probably one of the best places to go get them for cheap. But yeah, I spent a lot of my time really for a while in the personal development space, around leadership, because that's where I felt my passion was developing, was in, people leadership and just really helping others, as a servant leader.
Awesome. Thank you. And finally, I always like for our guests to have an opportunity to shine a spotlight on anything that they wish. Is there anything you'd like to do that for?
Sure. So, I just was talking about my passion for servant leadership. And, so one of the people out there that really inspired me, John Gordon, who's an author, and a motivational, speaker and a coach. And, what I learned from him is I really learned that, like to be a good leader, all you have to really understand is you've got to develop, a sense of love for other humans, care, and be willing to serve in your leadership style. And if you can get that right, you're going to build the culture, you're going to build the trust, which is going to support the culture. And once you have that, you can accomplish anything, because now you've got a team that is, on board, focused on one vision. And so, it's just going to be a matter of time before the results follow. But he's got a book. It's, The Power of Positive Leadership. And that's the book that I read that really got me just all in on that, servant leadership style. And that's the one I keep going back to time and time again.
Nice. Sounds like a good book and worth reading.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I certainly appreciate you spending your time with us and sharing your insight, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. To our listeners out there, if you've enjoyed this conversation, remember, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a positive review. And then also remember that unlike our IQ or our EQ, we can really easily raise our PQ every single day. We just have to keep learning, building, and connecting. Until next time.